Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm out on another walk. And this time I'm walking not a million miles away from Binstead Woods, where the lovely Julia recently made a film. I'm actually filming across the A27, and across the A27 to the north there's a series of woods around the west of Slindon. So this, I think, is called Drones Wood. I think I've got that right, but there's a whole load of different names. And I wanted to have a look round, see what's going on, but also do a bit of a competition. No, there's no prizes, so don't get too excited. But I wanted to see if I could learn some of the different plants and species that are around. And I'm going to enlist your help, because you lot are far, far cleverer than me. So I figured that maybe you would be able to identify them. So I'm going to put up a series of pictures in the course of this video, numbered, and then if you know what they are, you can test yourself as well. And we'll see who's right. Last year, I was hoping, about this sort of time, I was planning, I suppose I should say, and hoping that I was going to be able to bring you a special trip that we were going to do in 2020 of 5 days in a wood. And I'd been searching and found a cabin in a wood in the middle of nowhere. So I could have spent 5 days just looking, learning, reading, spending time and absorbing the beauty and the nature and the peace and the tranquility and all of that in a wood. Well, we know what happened last year, so it just wasn't possible. Maybe this year we'll get that, but at the moment, in terms of planning things, it's very, very tricky. I don't want us to suddenly fall back into lockdown, the government change its mind yet again, move the goalposts yet again. So I'm not really planning too much, but I hope that I can still do little trips ad hoc once the restrictions have passed. But in the meantime, it's just nice to be exploring these local areas and getting now, as we come out of winter, to grips with the woodlands in Sussex. There's a great drop just behind me here, and there's a spider, I think, crawling on my head, which doesn't help. And when you look on old maps, this area apparently has all sorts of earthworks and old bits of enclosures, which is fascinating to me because I've been recently reading up about the Neolithic farming, the Iron Age farming, the Romans when they came in, and the Saxons, and I should be doing more programs on those shortly. You can see that there's either natural earthworks or perhaps human earthworks in this area. It's very fascinating to look at. I'm not sure if some of that is actually perhaps old mining, perhaps could have been mining out the clay. But it's so difficult to tell, really. I mean, often that will be marked on a map as well. But the floor, it's so wonderful to see all of this, and the leaf mould, because it's such an old woodland. And I imagine this is pretty ancient. It was worked as a coppice here. You can see, I think we're coming through what looks like either beech or hazel that's been allowed to just grow and grow. And there must be, I mean, obviously somebody still owns it, an estate still owns it, but whether it's actually coppiced anymore, I don't know. But the leaf mould, my dad used to go up to Leaf Hill, and he would take a shovel and a bag, well, several bags. I think this is probably perfectly illegal, and he would fill them up with the leaf mould at Leith Hill in Surrey, and bring them back to Horsham, where I lived, and put it on the garden. Don't think you could do that now. Oh yeah, when we come over here we get a bit more of an impression of this bowl area, and I think this must have been worked in times gone by. I can see that the kids come down here now and do their, BMX biking down these. There's a massive slope here. I certainly wouldn't want to be taking a bike down that thing. That would be rather frightening, certainly for me anyway. But interesting landscape here with these. There's a pit here, and if this is an old coppice, which is what it does look like, you can imagine perhaps the old woodworkers down here in a saw pit somewhere, maybe chopping up the wood on site, then the wagons coming in, the horses, and some sort of cart coming in to take it all away to wherever it went. It's probably part of the Slindon estate, I imagine. But there's these wonderful footpaths that you can just have a wander around. And I seem to have got it all to myself, which is even better. I've mentioned many times I'm not a great fan of pine. As you can see behind me, so little grows in a pine plantation because the canopy cover is so complete, and because they're evergreen, you don't get those moments as you do with deciduous where the leaves have dropped off and the sky is open and other plants like bluebells and snowdrops and crocuses even have a chance to grow and nurture. And the only time that the ground ever gets a chance to nurture is once all these trees have been chopped down. But they are fast growers, and they were useful, I think, during and after the First World War, because we needed so much wood to replace all the wood that had been used for things like trenches and things. So they have their uses, but they stifle the wildlife. This is a spectacular find actually. I've not been here before and I'm very, very impressed. There's such diversity here in both the trees and the landscape. And I think it's absolutely marvellous. This is a place to bring the lovely Julia for another trip, I think, because it's so interesting. You're not stuck on one path, and there's lots of trails that you can wander around and go and explore. Another thing I love about this particular wood is you can barely hear the traffic. You do actually get a sense of escaping, which is fantastic. There's moss all on the floor, all on the bottom of the trees. There's leaves just lying around. There's fallen branches. There's this naturally sculpted landscape, it seems to me. And it doesn't appear that you can't go off the pathways. There's no private signs. And then you've got to be careful because there are drops, as in just here. Time spent in a wood is always time spent well. Catching up with yourself and your thoughts in this very busy world, so very important. And I wonder how well you did in our little test today. How did it go? As you saw, I've been putting them up. The ones to guess against are the ones I put the numbers with. Actually, I was quite surprised. I was expecting to see many more plants, I think, but maybe I'm too early. There's some obvious ones in there, of course. I could have put some of the holly here that's all around me, but I thought that was even too obvious to the point of insulting. But I'd be interested to see how you've done. Thank you for watching and participating. It's a beautiful warm day. Everyone keeps telling me, don't get used to it. We've got some more snow coming. As I record this, it's the 1st of March. And in theory, this goes out on the 2nd of March. And I hope that this year we're going to have a grand year for getting out. It's got to be better than last year, hasn't it? And exploring the places. Anyway, don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. It really helps if you can support the channel in whatever way you can. Give me a thumbs up. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, look after yourselves. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.